Welcome to a Goshen Health's one-chart ambulatory implementation video. Today's topic, widgets. Before we get into the topics today, I'd like to offer an apology along with some reminders. I know we had a considerable gap of time between the last video and this one. We had a few delays with build and workflows, but we're now back on track. You can expect these videos to come out a little more timely. Reminders? I know, those last overview videos were very long, at least 30 minutes. That was needed to help you see the overall flow of the system. All videos from here on out will be 5 to 15 minutes, as promised. Now we can get down to the details that will help you individualize and personalize how you will use the system. Final reminder, once again, we are building in the system currently and still working on your workflows in some cases. So what you see on the screen may change a little bit between now and go live. These videos are meant to give you an idea of the functionality of your new Meditech Expanse. With that said, this video I'm going to cover what is a widget. I'll show you where widgets can be found. I'll show you how to change or move around your widgets, and then we'll discuss the My Widget and the My Patient widget. By now this screen should look familiar to you. Please go out and find this icon for the test Expanse. When you clicked on it, it should have brought you to a screen like this. Once again, please enter your Goshen email and your password. This should be the same one that you are currently using for your current system. Then click Sign In. I don't normally do this because that screen should launch you either into the pathways or directly into your clinical home screen. But there are a few people that we are still setting up access because you either work in the acute world or have other jobs. So if you do get this screen, please come down here to the GHS Test Expanse 2.2 and click on the Launch New Session. From this screen, if it brings you to another one that requires you to choose a job role, please go in and choose your appropriate ambulatory role. If you are a provider, it will bring you to your clinical home screen. If you are a back office colleague, you probably were taken to the pathways. Please click on Ambulatory and Clinical Home. That should bring you into this screen. You probably will not have anyone set up for you each day to be able to come in here and play with. So in this case, I want you to come up here to the Find Patient and type in the word test, and then hit your Enter key. Go ahead and click the search and just choose one of the patients on the screen. I'm going to pretend this is real world and click on My Patient. Notice it brings me into My Patient's chart. I can tell that because that is the icon highlighted at the top. This screen shows us that the chart is broken up into 4 different sections. Section number 1 is your black navigation bar at the top. It has icons that will remain consistent throughout all of our different screens. Once we're in the patient's chart, we will actually see 3 new icons: a chart, a document, and an orders. Depending on which one is highlighted at the top, it will display the information down below in the center pane. If you are with oncology, you may see a 4th icon. Our second section is the center pane. It contains the chart tabs. Our third section is over here to the right, and it is considered the patient header. Below the patient header is the reference pane. Now that we're oriented with what is on the screen, let's define what a widget is. A widget is simply an app that pulls in information from multiple places in the chart, and it pulls it in to display in one area. In other words, instead of making you go out to each of these tabs, we're able to create a widget and pull the information to you. Multiple widgets can be put on a screen so that you don't, once again, you don't have to go out to multiple places within the chart. A widget will give you static information. It also gets delivered in real time. The moment a new lab is entered over in Quest and then it's transferred electronically back to us, it will display in the widget. Or if an acute provider signs a progress note, the document will automatically display down in the Documents widget. Notice there are multiple widgets that have been created. There's a lot more than what you see here. We've created what we call a template of starters for you. These are the ones that we would think you would typically use. Notice that some of them may also be over here in the reference pane. The reason we use the reference pane for certain widgets is as I go in and document and write orders, I can still view these over to the right. Let's focus back on the center pane again and our summary screen, which is where our widgets reside. If you look over here to the right, there is a button that looks like it's an arrow pointing up. If I would like to collapse all of these widgets, I can click on it and notice they all collapse. With the same thought, if I click down, it will expand all of them all at once. We have chosen to give you widgets that are expanded. For right now, I'm going to collapse them. Next, I would like to point out, if you see a chevron that is pointed to the right, it means that the widget is collapsed. If I click on that chevron, it'll open it up for me. Some widgets are underlined, meaning they're actionable. I can click on it. It will give me an overlay and show me the information. Sometimes I can click on a widget and it just displays information. If I click on the underline once again, what it's going to do is bring me into that section to allow me to make changes to it or look at another overlay. Some widgets will be preceded with a green dot. The green dot will indicate that the information within that widget is all about the account. In other words, the visit that the patient has currently had. For those of you who have been using NextGen, it's similar to your encounters. Come over here and expand them. Other widgets can contain documents. So if I come down here, I can see this was created at Bristol Family Medicine by Dr. Goshen. And the reason for the visit was shoulder injury. If I click on the icon, it will bring me right into the document. If the icon is not a piece of paper, but is a piece of paper with a camera in front, it'll show you an image. Usually that means it is an X-ray or a CT scan, something that comes out of your imaging system. Everything I've discussed over here in the center pane is true with the widgets that are created over here in the reference pane. So the next question that I hear the most often is, the widgets that I have for the ambulatory world, are they the same as the widgets I have over on the acute world, for those of you that go between those two? The answer is they are not the same. We have two different widgets created for you. Over on the acute side, you will have the ones that you have been seeing that are pertinent to the acute world. Over here, this is set up in order to help you in your ambulatory offices. Part of the benefit of widgets is that we want you to be able to individualize a little bit. In other words, move items around to make it most efficient for you. Personalize it for how you function in this world. In order to do that, I would like you to come over here next to the collapse button and go into the gear. Remember, the gear does the work for you. Once I come in here, I have Summary highlighted at the top, which indicates the Summary tab. Reference would indicate the reference pane. Notice within the Summary tab, there are two columns. similar to the same two columns underneath this screen. If you look, you can see, in fact, lab result last value is the same widget that is here. Within this screen, I have the ability to remove a widget by clicking the X. I can move it from right to left by clicking on the right arrow here, or move it back. I can move widgets up and down by using these keys at the top. If I click with just the one arrow without the line underneath it, it will move it just one row down at a time. If I click the arrow with the line underneath it, it will take it completely to the bottom. The same is true of these two up arrows. If I would like to search for a new widget, I tend to start with typing in web or web EHR. The reason I like to look for those is all of these widgets were created specifically for this web version. If you see something that does not have web EHR, it tends to be a desktop version. Now you can add it in here, but more than likely the information will not flow into it because you are using a web version of Meditech. The majority of these widgets that have been created are for the web version. If you need others to be created, please let us know and we'll be happy to try to take care of that request after go live. If I add it, it will automatically put it at the bottom. If I wanted to, I could also go over and change those that are on the reference pane. Going to bring us back into the summary. Now remember, this template was created for you as a good starter point. These are the ones that most ambulatory offices need. However, our oncology colleagues needed something a little different. So oncology colleagues, they can click on the drop down and choose the oncology PCS summary. Notice it gives us different widgets. Once they click save, all changes will be made on the screen. I'm going to click cancel at this time. Our last topic is going to be focused on my widget and patient widget. Sometimes I want to have one single widget in which I have all the information I want to see. For instance, if I came over here and I right-clicked on Office Visit, notice it is set for my widget. If I choose the word widget and open up the My Widget, it enters that information right there. Similarly, I can come over here, open up my lab results. I will once again right-click, and I'm going to click on Widget, and it adds the information in there. I'm going to come in here one more time and right-click. If I wanted to remove one of these, all I have to do is click the X, and it will be removed. The My Widget is nice because I can set this up with different pieces of information that I like to see on all my patients. Regardless of which patient I go into, whether it's Andrea test or Lorraine test or any of the other patients, it will bring in that same information for me. If I have a patient, for instance, that is a severe diabetic and I don't want to see the normal information, but only specific information just for that patient, I can create the same idea with the patient widget. I can come over here and I can right click, and instead of just clicking widget, I want to now highlight patient widget, and when I click the word widget this time, it brings it into the patient widget. If I go into another chart, this will not display for them unless I have it set here in the My Widget. So remember, patient widget is specifically to this patient. My widget means it's one I'm creating and I want to use it on any patient that I will enter their chart. Okay, that's the basics on widgets. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for your time.